All right, so hello and welcome to Book Review on Kingdom Lifestyle Radio. My name is Maomi, and today I'm talking about a book titled Unashamed by Lecrae. Lecrae is a very popular gospel rapper. We all know him. I mean, he's just one of the few gospel rappers we have out there in the world. And it's a book that most men out there might be able to relate to it because of the struggle of just being a man to begin with. And then when you're not the first child, but first child apart for Lecrae, it was the issue of not having a father figure around, right from childhood. When you're aware from when we're young that your father worked out on you, it can be very painful, hurtful, and so he had a big struggle growing up. He just wanted to fit in. It was just him and his mother moving from places to places, and he couldn't just find somebody to pattern his life after. So now, it's so unusual for me to have a guest on my show, and today I have a guest, like a male in the house. Now, this guest is my friend, and he just has one thing in common with Lecrae: the fact that he doesn't have a father anymore. I mean, that's so painful. I think I should have said that more softly, but now I'm going to introduce my friend is Bamio Adiola Olatuliwa, and I would like to start by saying, how do you feel to, be on the show with me? Now, I've always read books, reviewed them on my channel, and on one or few occasions you picked up those books to read them, even though you don't really like some of, you read different books entirely. You read on business and spiritual books, but on a few occasions you picked up some of them and, you read them and liked them. But now, how does it feel being on the show, reviewing this book, Unashamed, with me?
All right, so thank you so much, Omomi. I would say I love what you're doing on your channel, and I thank you for being so doing more, in fact, influencing the world. So reviewing this book with you is a pleasure.
Okay, and you're welcome.
All right.
Okay, so the first question I'd like to ask is, the major struggle, like I said earlier, for Lecrae while growing up is the fact that he didn't have a father figure. That was just the number one struggle for him. The fact that there was not a father in the house to say, do this, don't do that. The fact that there was not a father in the house to play football with, or a father in the house to look up to, was the first struggle for him. Now, let's ask, growing up, you had a father.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do. A tough one like that.
Okay, I think Lecrae would have been grateful to have a tough father. He just needed a father. So now the question is, was there any difference having a father growing up? Do you think your life, do you think you would have grown to be somebody else, maybe a greater person in the absence of a father? Was there any difference he made in your life growing up?
Oh, okay. As I have said, my dad was actually someone who happens to be a tough one. Like, he can discipline you, and I would like to say that actually shaped me up. That actually helps me in whatever I'm doing now, because I could see all his traces, all his actions, all his reactions to my nonchalant attitude that is actually complementing who I am and who I'm becoming. So in case of Lecrae, that doesn't have a father that he can look up to, that can guide him, that can mentor him, it was actually a big one. And I would say it's a pity because father are just like let me say, like a sandal or a shoe that you want to see, that you want to learn from, that you want to step into their ways. Like, when you have a godly one like that, like, okay, you want to pattern your life around them. But in case of Lecrae that doesn't have one, it's a pity. And I would say it's only God that can help him. I don't know why.
That's a serious one. But I feel that, well, there are actually some people out. I don't know what it would have been like growing up without a father. I don't know what it would have been like. But at some point I was like, wait, is it exaggerating or something? Because the struggle was just too strong and obvious. Like everywhere he turned, it was just the question of, so Lecrae, where is your father? Lecrae, where is your father? And all those now. So he struggled, he had a stepfather that was abusive, and at some point the police came around to arrest him. And then when he came back, it was more or less like a kind of mind your business relationship he had with the stepfather in the house. They just went their ways around the house. And that's so pitiful. And then when he eventually had like a male figure in his life, it was his uncles. And then he made reference to his uncle, Uncle Chris, a lot in the book. He said Uncle Chris was a kind of street guy, rugged, that taught him to fight back when anybody fought him, that taught him to, sell drugs and all those. And he felt so at some point, he built his, mind around a father being someone who could, just be rugged on the streets and all that. And I don't think that's actually a definition of a father anyway. So to the next question, when eventually, okay, so during the desperate journey of finding a father, and then because of course it was just his mom in the house, and then the other aunties, and then big mama for him, then so he couldn't, it's just like the female thing. You feel I'm not a female, I'll not grow up to be a female, so I'm looking for where I'm going to fit in. And so in finding a place to fit in, eventually got like a gang of, people, like guys on the streets who were just rugged, who smoked pots, who drank a lot and all those things. So the question is this peculiar to every male out there, the fight, the struggle to fit in? And so the only place he felt he fit in was on the streets with the guys that smoked. Now, you had the artful part of him. He could rap, okay, he could draw, and all those things. So when they enrolled him to a place where they could train him to sing and, draw more, he was ashamed of being a part of that group because he felt it's only the mama's kid that is in that group, that he can find in that group. People on the street laughed at the kids in that group. And he was on the street, was supposed to be a street guy, But then they enrolled him there, and he had to drop out because he felt this is not a place for me. Like, I want to be on the street where I'll fit in, where would find the rugged guys, where would find the strong men. So now, is this a struggle that, that every male out there can identify, the struggle to fit in? Was there ever a time when you felt like, okay, I want to fit in, or you feel that it's something that every male out there, try to do, like, I want to fit in, the struggle to fit in for the guys, or when you're just the only guy, like my brother, I have just one brother, and I don't know if it's the same for him, but I know every now and then he talks about stuff, but he's just a very quiet person, so I wouldn't know. So the question is the struggle to fit in peculiar to every guys out there? Did you at any point in time experience that, and how did you manage it?
Okay.
Remember you had a father.
Yes.
So,
okay, and I think with all male child, I think that is actually peculiar to them, because we just have this our path that we want to tread on, but our father, maybe they see beyond those things before, or they reason beyond those things. Okay, when I was growing up, I loved to I play a lot. I play a lot. So I love to be a footballer. So then I started playing football, going from one place to another. But my dad is this kind of person that we love every of his children to be so studious. Like, you just have to sit down, make sure you read, make sure you are up there, like you are so brainy. So, but I love to be on the street, probably to play football, to hang around with friends and all that. But my dad doesn't really support that. He's not in support of that. It's not that maybe he doesn't want you to play, but you must be studied. Like, you just have to read. You just have to be with your book at almost every time. There was a time like that. He told my mom, he said, please stay away from my children. Like, you cannot just send us on an errand. So, even as a mother, because every opportunity to leave the house or to go and get something is an opportunity to play, to while away time, to hang around with friends and all that. So, at the point, I told my mom, please don't send them on an errand. Let them just read their books. So, I think at every particular time, but as I grow, as I begin to understand what is actually communicating, I was able to filter those things. So times to read, I make sure I read, because every time, every now and then when he came back from work, he will sit you down, he will call you. Okay, he normally called me Oga. He said, Oga, what do you read today? So I will have to start explaining how my day has been so far. If it were to be in the night, like from the morning, when I wake up, I will have to analyze. And I think those things are actually helpful now. They are actually a way that I have patterned my life, and it's helping. So I want to say, every male child, let me say every child wants to fit in somewhere. But when you have a godly father, when you have somebody that you look up to, when you now have God, you'll be able to filter what your dad is saying. You'll be able to see what God is also saying, to make sure you balance in life. Thank you.
Okay, that's a very vital point you made there. You said every child out there, at every point in your life, or at one point or the other in your life, you feel that struggle, you feel that feeling of wanting to fit in. But what helped him in his own time when he was growing up is a father or parents that were prayerful, parents that were involved, that knew what was best for the kids and was willing to help them through what was best for them. And he said his parents was always emphasizing on reading all of the time, but at the same time they also gave room for a little play, right?
Yeah.
Okay. A little play, yes. So now, another thing that, I saw in the life of the author of Unashamed, Lecrae, is that aspect of always feeling empty, void inside. He knew Jesus because he said Big Mama one time, is a woman that was given to charity. She would always, carry him in the car, and then they would pack all stuffs in the car, fruits, food, clothing, and then they will go from one city to the other, looking for people that were in need to give to them. And then Mama wasn't the type that would push down Jesus, that would push Jesus down your throat. No, she wasn't that kind of a person, but she was a believer. And then he made mention of the fact that one day they were coming back from one of those trips. And then Big Mama said, there was a priest or a pastor or something that was on the ride with them. And then the pastor asked Lecrae if he believed in Jesus. He said yes. And then Big Mama said, would you this, that? He said yes. And then they baptized him on the road, meaning that he was already a Christian by their own, at least if he professed that he knew Jesus and he believed in him, it means that he knew Jesus, he knew the person of Jesus. And then every now and then the mother would preach to him, like small preaching. But then he went on, even after being baptized, he kept saying that there was just this big voidness in the inside of him. And then how did Lecrae filled the voidness? He went doing drugs, always smoking, always drinking. And then women. At some point, he said, women gave him a sense of importance. So the kind of woman he is with at the moment defines or says how important he is at that time. So, for instance, if he's dating like a celebrity, he feels high and he feels okay. And then when there's no celebrity to hang out with, he feels like he's nothing. So women, drugs, and he smoked a lot. He smoked a lot, he took drugs, was always drinking to stupor and all those things. So the voidness for him was filled with drugs, with smoking, and with women. So he said at some point in your life, you've had You also had the feeling that you just wanted to fit in somewhere with some people. Like, there are some guys out there that like age mates with me, they are male too, and so I want to fit in. So how did you feel yours? Like, what was it for you? Lecrae knew God. He was young, and then he needed somebody, just needed to be part of a group, and then he wasn't finding that. So in the absence of finding a place to fit in the absence of purpose, he was, busy doing drugs and doing all sorts of women. He said he could do like 3-4 women in a week, So how did you feel the emptiness? Because I know there are just like thousands of guys out there that have anxiety. I know there are thousands of 19-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds out there that feel like, well, maybe this world is not just for me, or maybe I would just never find a clique for myself, or there's just nothing I can do, this world, they are fed up already at 19, at 17, okay, and then who are already doing drugs too. So now the question is, what is actually the way out to fill this voidness? I would like to say, first of all, that it is a normal feeling, like everybody. It's not just because you're a male or a female or a first child or a fatherless person that you're feeling that voidness. Even people with fathers feel that feeling. I am a female, and while I was growing up, I'm a very quiet, introvert person growing up. I read a lot. The only friends I had, okay, I had just one friend, for Jesus' sake, and that was like a church member. She read a lot, and so I was just friends with her because she would give me money to buy books. If she had any money, we'll buy it. If I had any money, we'll go and buy books. We started with 50 naira story books back then when I was in primary school. And so I had just one friend. And on days that I didn't have any book to read, I know that I can record that I would just be so quiet and be inside. I didn't have any friend, and I can also recall that growing up on my birthdays, until recently when I turned 20, on my birthdays, I would always be so sad. Like, I would always be so sad on my bed. I wouldn't want to go anywhere. I wouldn't want to wear any fine clothes. I wouldn't want to wear any fine shoe. If I went to school and come back, I would be so sad. In fact, I would say that until my 20th birthday, I would always cry on my birthday. So it was just a struggle. It's a struggle that is normal for everybody. It's not just because you're a male. Okay, it's a struggle. Everybody wants to fit. Everybody wants to find purpose, wants to be living for something to begin with. So now, as a male, how did you deal with your own time of, feeling empty? And what do you think is the way? What would you suggest to a 19-year-old of this 21st century? What would be your suggestion to them as the way out? That this feeling is normal. This feeling you are feeling is normal, and there is something you can do. Okay.
Okay. That question sounds is actually a good one. But I want to reflect back to when I was 19, 18, 17, and all that. I think I was so full of. So that question sounds so very nice, and I just trust God that I will be able to give the right answer to it. But if I want to reflect back to when I was 19, 17, 18, I was this kind of boy that is just so full. I was just so full of the future. Like, I can see that, with everything around me, with everything, the way I was going, I saw myself being a better person and a good person, like somebody that will make it in life. Because when I was 19, that would be great. Like, I can see the greatness. When I was 17, I don't know. I think when I was 17 or 16 or thereabout, I've been going for competitions, representing my schools, and that is what my dad wants for us. So I've been going. I don't have any other thought. So at a point I was like, but the only thing that I've been seeing is, this is my dad that used to complain, that used to do this, that used to do that, and he doesn't really have money too. But so, I was like, maybe he didn't do some things. So I was like, okay, if I can do this part, maybe that is what he actually wants to plant in me. Maybe he wants to be more, but he couldn't get that done, maybe because of one thing or the other. So that now is not coming from that aspect that, okay, if I know all these things and I was this small, okay, you can be more. So then 18, 19, I see myself so big. I see myself, I give myself to study. I've been representing my schools and all that. But now, you know, let me say the age is. The age is now.
Would like to say that we'll rule out the fact that you didn't really have that kind of feeling of voidness, like I might not amount to anything in comparison to other kids around you. So what would you say to a person that at any point in this person's life he has never represented any school? In fact, it was always like maybe the second to the last or an average, has always been an average. What would you say to that person feeling void? Because the person is almost marked with smallness. The person is almost marked with backwardness. So what would you say to this person feeling void and empty?
All right. I think that is a good one, and it's actually a question of purpose. Okay. So at that very point when you are feeling so void, so empty, and what I would just suggest is make sure you look inward. Okay. So I'm actually talking from a perspective to someone who is not a born again yet, who is not a believer. So I just want to make it in general word or plan like that. So now, what you just have to look inward. Just sit down, look inward. There was a movie like that one of my mentors suggested to me. That I saw that movie long time ago. I think I forgot the title, but something related to star, something like that. So this very guy cannot assimilate anything. If you tell him 1 plus 1 now, ask him in the next few seconds. This guy cannot even say it. He doesn't know it. And the stuff was going like that. It was going like that. Everybody abandoned him. They took him to school, best school. They tried a lot. The parents, they tried a lot. But do you know this guy, this very small boy, if you want to teach him anything, just illustrate it. Just illustrate it in drawing or in a pictorial form. Yes, he will understand it. 10 years to come, ask him. And this guy, at a point, maybe they took him to another school. So I think a teacher followed him up, followed him through that. When you are teaching him, it's very, in fact, he will be like this $1. But this very teacher was able to pay more attention to him and help him out. Like, okay, now what do you love doing? And now, he came out flying color. He started representing the school. Just anything. It's not limited to probably art and all that. Increases. Just make sure you illustrate it in visual form, and we get it. He will get it 100 years to come. If you ask him, he will understand it. And this is how this guy became the best student. So what I will say to that person is just look inward. Sit down, and look inward. Know what you are good, what you love doing, if they wake you up at the middle of the night, you can do that thing, do that thing without stress. Just look inward. And if I will now come in this time now. Just look unto God. If you are a Christian, trust God more. Pray to God. There is a purpose for you. Jeremiah 29 verse 11 said, I have a plan for you. So God actually has a plan for us, a plan that will give us the desire and expected end. Thank you.
Okay, that was a nice one. He said that if you always been like the pot head of your class, if you feel like you've always, been backward, you've always failed, or that you don't even have a voice, and that kind of a person that when you're in the midst of friends, nobody cares to listen to what you have to say on the subject matter. They say it doesn't matter if they care to listen. The most important thing is to find a clique for yourself, what everybody needs, what people would want to, call you for. We need somebody to do this, and your name is the first thing that will come to people's mind. Okay, look inward. What is that thing you can do well? You might not be good at, assimilating words like word for word what you've been taught. And he shared the story of somebody who had been taken to the best of schools, the best schools around. He couldn't still do well academically until a teacher discovered that when they draw something on the board, he would assimilate it. And when you ask him, like years later, months later, he would tell you what he saw. So it might be that they've not even found that, technology that would help you learn. Okay, it might be one special person. Okay, so now the next, aspect of it that we're going to be looking at is at some point. So his mother told him, okay, he went out, and then, it was just a nuisance on the street in the neighborhood. And then there was one time, like there was a time his friend broke somebody's car window, and then there was a time he was just, on the street, always constituting nuisance. So one day it was very, very late in the night, and then because it's that kind of a child that the police would come and report, we bring to the house every now and then because he was a minor, would come and report him to the parents that he has just done, but they couldn't arrest him because he was a minor then. And now that he's grown up, he was grown up, I think at 19, and then he wasn't back in the house. The stepfather was around. The stepfather couldn't say much because, he had been arrested once for eating him, and then so he stopped interfering in anything that had to do with him. Then there was the mother who would only say what she could. She couldn't beat him. He's not an adult, for Jesus' sake. And so she couldn't really do much, only to give him like a small talk every now and then. And so that fateful day, he went out and wasn't back for hours. Like it was late into the night before he came into the house with his friend drunk. The mother was bothered. The stepfather was in the sitting room waiting for him. And then when the mother came to open the door, she just shook her head and said, "You know what? Just do what you want to do with your life. You talk to him." So she told the stepfather to talk to him, and she walked out, went into the room, and then the stepfather was also he was drunk, but the stepfather was also speechless. He didn't know what to say, but then he told him, he said, "Lecrae, if you don't do something, if you don't go to school, you might not amount to anything. You might not be able to provide an accommodation for yourself. You might not be able to provide for your own family. You might not be able to feed your own mouth. So you have to do something for your life. Do something with your life. Because if you don't go to school, if you don't have anything to get you a good job, you might not amount to anything in life." And so he went upstairs. He was drunk, but he said the words that his father said stayed with him throughout the night and then into the week. And so he decided to go to college. And then when he got to college, he thought it was going to be like a new beginning. College gives you like an opportunity to start all over again, to meet new people, to meet like minds, young people like yourself. Going into the university year one students, you meet new set of people that as young as you are. You meet new set of students, dollars, brilliant, people that were pushed, people that wanted to come. And so he felt it was going to be like he was going to start on a new clean slate. But the first week in college wasn't any different because the roommates he had, they weren't going to talk. He was, too intelligent. The class where he was, in fact, was given scholarship on the basis of being able to sing, I think, for the heart. And then, so the people there were also too creative, too intelligent for him. He has always been a street guy. So he wasn't still, fitting. He has always been the rugged person. So he was looking for the rugged types too on campus. So the struggle began all over again, wanted to fit in on campus. And then he started drinking again. He found, of course, you would always find your own tribe. Anywhere you go to, they're always there everywhere. So you find your tribe, then you cling onto them. And so he found his tribe, the smoking type again, the drinking type, and then he started again. He started doing girls again. So what now? The question is, what should be your expectation from college? I mean, what should college be to every young person out there? I know some people want to go to college, want to go to the university because they are told to do so. Why some wants to go? Okay, so those that were told to do so, what should they expect from college? Okay, from university, and then how should they manage their time in school, in college?
Okay. So
Because I feel that Lecrae had too much expectation from college. You know, college is okay. I'm just going to leave our guest to answer the question, but he almost had too much expectation from college. He felt it was a place where he was going to find like a father and a mother, a place where he was going to, be a new person. Because in fact, he had to change his name, thinking that maybe if he changed his name, he would, be a new person. Is still you going to college? Okay, let me not answer it. But what should be our expectation for a person that was told to go to college and a person that wants to go to college willingly? What should be their expectation from college, and how should they manage their time in school, in college, university?
okay, those who are told to go to school
and those who want to go, they are the nerds. We should not forget that they are nerds. Like myself, I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to the university. The idea of being in the four corners of a learning room was just always the thing for me. I still want to go. Funny enough, I still want to be going to classes and all those things, learning, getting imparted with knowledge. So that's for me. But there are some people that they were just told they don't want to go to college. That's not their thing. It's too serious for them. So now they are in college, or they are processing going to college, to the university. What should be their expectation, and how should they manage their time in college?
Okay, so I think that question is a bit dicey. So I will just say, make sure you, if you are forced to go, that alone might be a turn off for you. That alone might because a lot of people, we have this saying now that even school is a scam or something. All right, in our own part of the world, like okay, school is a scam and all that. And now you are even forced to go. It is well. It takes another level of seriousness, another level of you to actually be to make something good out of it. So you just have to I'm talking to those people that were forced to go. So you just have to even while there, you just have to make sure you look at. I know a lot of celebrities now that they said, okay, my dad, this certificate is for you. In fact, I have somebody we worked together at a time in one office like that. He said, my dad forced me to do law, and she has done it. Take the certificate. That the certificate is for her. But now she's doing something nice, and she's doing big thing out there now. So now, if you are forced to go, if you are told to go, make sure you just know what you want to do. You don't lose out. Because now, if you are forced to go, there are a lot of things that can actually influence you, and you will not see anything out of it because you were actually forced to go. So just look at, make sure you focus on what you want to do. Like you happens to be maybe you are artistic in nature, and now they ask you to go and do mechanical engineering. Okay, you are artistic. You can just go into structural designs and forget about losing machine. Just focus on something else. Though you are doing mechanical, but you are this artistic person, why don't you just do structural designs? Why you come up with some designs that they are mad, that even people are not, they are willing, they will be so wow when they see those things. So just look in other way and make sure you are at the best at what you intend becoming and what you see yourself becoming in the future. So now, if you want to go, like you are willing to go, expectation is
so that the morale will not come down.
Your expectation
how do you manage your time?
Okay, your expectation is that initial promptness that you have in you. So because you are going to meet you are going to see a lot of junks. So make sure you always filter and you make sure you hold on to what makes you to go initially. Now you have to be at the drawing board. You don't have to at a time like, okay, this is not the drawing board. Let me do something out of the drawing board. No, make sure you stay glued to that drawing board. Your focus, what brought you there, because a lot of junks are there. So you just make sure you are focused and that. Your time now, how do you manage it? Time is money. Make sure. I think everybody. I think maybe if you are doing 24 unit course, maybe you have about 30 hours to study in a week. So other hours, make sure you use it judiciously on things that will be a value to you, that will add to you. Okay, I attended the seminar recently and he said, make sure you do something that will add layer to you. Make sure you are there to add the layer. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The point is, if you were forced to go, you want to study, you want to do something artistic, and then they are forcing you to do medicine, for instance, you can actually be doing the medicine because you don't want to waste your parents' money. You don't want to waste your time, most importantly, because if you just do the medicine for the sake of handing the certificate over to your parents, it will be too sad because the world economy, the world system doesn't understand that, doesn't understand the fact that you were forced to do something for a certain period of time of your life. The world doesn't understand that. So you can be doing medicine and any other thing artistic that you find joy in doing on campus at the same time. Thank God for the many opportunities on campus these days. You have a lot of trainings they'll bring to you every now and then that you can take up during weekends. You have a lot of trainings that you can do after class. You just have different opportunities that you can open on campus. So they are forcing you to do medicine, not bad. Do the medicine and also invest your time in doing something that you actually enjoy. So what you enjoy doing that you're investing your time on while you're on campus will fuel you, will give you joy, energy to carry on with the medicine you were forced to do. Because at the end of the day, if you're not doing anything that is giving you joy, that is making you happy at that period of time, you might end up dropping out of school, like even dropping out before you graduate. And that was the same with Lecrae. Like, it wasn't even really that they wanted him to study a course. It was that he didn't want to, like, he wasn't prepared mentally. He wasn't prepared, like, all round for the college. He wasn't prepared. He was still struggling to fit in a group of people. He wanted to identify with some persons. And so he just eventually dropped out. He lost the scholarship and all those things. So he can, like, for instance, me, when I went to school, I had great expectations. I initially wanted to study English language at Obafemi Awolowo University here in Nigeria. And so after I wrote my JAM, I wrote JAM once and then I applied to the school. I went to the school to write the exam, the pursuit CME. And after the exam, I think I scored 240. The expected cutoff mark was 244. And so I couldn't make it to the university. And then, of course, I went to Polytechnic to study mass communication. I'm glad I studied mass communication because I feel that English language would have been too, like, small. Meanwhile, mass communication is more wide and all those things. So while I was doing mass communication, I felt that, I can do more. Like, my brain wanted something more. I wanted to do something with my hand. Okay, I just felt like there was this part of me that wasn't maximizing. So during our second year, we were introduced to the course photojournalism. I thought, photojournalism sounds great. And so I enrolled for photographic training on campus. So from class to photography training, then to tutorials. So you see, so I was able to do something. I was on campus studying mass communication, and then I also enrolled photography training, which wasn't like really like an official course on campus. It was just like the extra curriculum activities on campus. So I enrolled for that. So if you're the same person, you were forced to go to school, or you wanted to go to school and you're not really getting what you expected, okay, you can actually always do something else while on campus. You can do something else. Those should be your expectations. As I'm going to campus, I want to make the most out of it. Like, I want to, come out with a good grade. And at the same time, expect to also meet people that are already like skilled, people that would like academics apart, when they are speaking their language. I mean, when they are in their sphere, they are, if they are a fashion designer, for instance, when they are in their sphere, when they produce something out of their skill, you'd have to just step aside, because all you know is English. All you can speak is English. All that you were taught in class. So expect to meet people that have gone ahead, that are skilled already. So, and also be prepared to do something more. Academics apart, be prepared to do something more, to acquire a skill, to, just learn something else that can give you an edge over others that you're going to be, say for instance, applying for a job together with, and all those. So the last part of the book, it isn't even really the last part, okay? Maybe you should expect like another episode of this book review, because that's just like we are just at the middle of the book. Okay, so now to one part of the book that I don't know if our guests will don't talk about that, but it's just one part. I feel that some guys have actually been unfortunate to find themselves in that show, and they feel that, oh my, like, what am I going to do? So it was the part that Lecrae at some point impregnated a girl. Like, he dropped out of school, he got like a small paying job, and then while working at the organization, he met another girl who was in search of meaning in life, and then she smoked as much as Lecrae smoked. She drank as much as he drank, and then they just like kind of have things in common, so to say, and then somehow they got into sexual relationship, and then he impregnated her. Guess what they did? It's actually in the book, though. It's a sad thing to talk about, but it is actually in the book. He advised her. He felt he wasn't ready for the baby. He felt like that was going to alter whatever plans he had then, and so he advised her to abort the child. So they aborted the child. It was so sad. The girl got depressed for days, months. He was also depressed. They broke up, and so now aborting the child seems like the best thing to do, because for him, like, he was just too young. He felt he wasn't ready mentally to be a father to someone. If the girl too wasn't, some part of the girl wanted to keep the child, but he wasn't ready. He didn't have the capacity to take care of the child. So they aborted the child. So what would you say? I know there are just quite a number of guys out there. It's a sad thing, but I know there are like 50 of guys, hundreds of guys out there. They are finding themselves in that same show. Somehow they've gotten a girl impregnated, and they don't know how to go about it. They don't, like, they are almost losing it. So what would be your advice to such persons now? What should they do? They don't have money. Lecrae was just earning less than, like, somebody without a college certificate, without a university certificate. You know how much they'll be earning. So that was all he had. He didn't even have, like, really have a house of his own. And then the girl too, they were working in the same place. No college, nothing. They've just created a baby, formed a baby. So what should they do? Like, we are being realistic. So if you're out there, you're in the same shoe, now let's learn. What are you going to do? Should you get rid of the baby? Is that the best thing to do? Should you keep it? You don't have the money to take care of the child, but what should such persons do?
I am emotional right now. Like, so emotional. You don't know what? Okay. I wouldn't want to say. I wouldn't want to say some things. Okay. So but it's very very emotional. And aborting the baby is not the best thing. It's not the way, only way out
But
of
they
the
actually
issue.
took a life.
Yes. That is not even done. It's not even done. I want to paint a kind of scenario. Okay, what if that will be the only child it will be having, or the lady will be having, and now it has been terminated. So that is not the best thing for them to do. Yes, that is not the best thing. They would have probably bring her forth, bring him, he or she forth, and probably just give it to the orphanage or something. They should just have a better way out. Lecrae still have a mother. So there are many other ways to instead of.
Sure. We know that there are some guys out there that will be like, my mother, hey, she will kill me or my father. They might not have parents that are willing to take the child. But our guys just made us know that there is always the option of an orphanage home. Okay, so if you're in that same shoe right now, you've gotten a guy impregnated, or you are a girl, you've been impregnated, just try to carry on for the 9 months, and when you deliver, you can take the child to the orphanage home. Okay, that's number one option for us now.
So you can do a lot of things. Terminating the baby is not the only option. Okay, you just have to make sure you do. And another thing is, for somebody who is actually on the street, is bound to happen. Okay, but okay, that is actually it will happen. It will happen. But that is one of those things that will make me to say, street is not the best. It's not the best place to be to find purpose. Street is not, because if you are trying to find purpose on the street will be bringing a lot of purpose on your way. So the only place to find purpose is in God. You don't find it on the street. The street we eat you, we hurt you, in fact, many a times the street will leave you crushed. I mean, totally crushed, because the more you get along with the street, the more the influences of the street on you. So what I will just say is, you can't find purpose on the street. You can't find purpose. And the street, a lot of people are there, but it's better we come back to God. We come back to God. We can't find purpose there. So for Lecrae, you will be depressed. That is another thing. A lot of people, you will be depressed. You will not come out of that depression. That will be the end. So those are the negative effects. Those are the effects. I will say street will always give you we always leave you with a lot of scars. Okay, so just come, find purpose in God. Find purpose in God. Come on. I don't know how Lecrae ends his own story, but I know it's going to be in God. It's going to be in God, because that is a place of rest. Thank you.
You go to the street. It's not just an option, please. If you're looking for meaning in life, you're not happy, you have anxiety, or you're just always sad. You feel that you want to do something, but you don't know what that thing is. The option is not the street, because the street will leave you crushed, like more crushed than you were before you went there. The place you can find purpose is in the church. One day they will bring somebody that will speak your language. One day, just keep going to the church. Just keep going to where you hear about God. Anywhere, keep listening to somebody that will tell you about God. One day you will find Him. And then when you find Him, you find joy, you find purpose. No lying, like it's the truth. Ask anybody who has ever been depressed. Ask them, what's the secret to their joy now? It is God. It is not a clit or an item. It is real, because that is the answer. It is in God you'd find purpose. For Lecrae, for the girl, they were depressed. They wanted to sort things with their own power. They wanted to sort things, like they had created a mess. So they wanted to clean it by themselves. And it is not always the best option. Just leave it to God. Leave it to God. Like, hand over the wheels to Him. He is the only one that can give you joy and give you purpose. Give you what you've been hunting for. Okay. This is revealed with Mommy. And to wrap up this episode on Unashamed by Lecrae, I'd like our guest to give his final words before we say goodbye, to come back again to finish the book.
Okay, so basically, let me just wrap up. But before that, I would say, there are some things too that you don't do even if you are on the street, okay? There are some things that you don't do because the outcome will not like it. It might be that you are drinking, you are smoking. Those things, they have their own negative sides of life, even to life. So I would say there are some things you don't do, and the best thing is actually to come out of the street, okay, as God will be helping you. There are many ways to come out of the street. There are many ways to come out of the street, but the best way is to find God, find the person of God, and He's actually willing to have you. He's willing to have you, okay? So, because He hates sins, but He loves the sinner. Just come as you are, and as you come as you are, you will never be the same way. You will never remain the same way. Okay, so to wrap up, what I will just say is, even if you have a father, if you don't have a father, God can be your father. If you don't have anybody to look up to, you can only look up unto God. He's the author and the finisher of our faith. If you are feeling, you want to feel among in Christ too, you can feel among, and you can be all you wanna be in Christ, in Jesus, in God alone. Alright, so thank you so much, Mommy, for having me here this wonderful and beautiful and glorious day. Thank you so much. I love you.
Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate your presence. We thank you for your contributions. Those were actually great, and I want to believe that our listener out there has been blessed by those words. I want to believe that you are making the decision right now to go to the person who can help them to find purpose in life. Okay. And before you conclude that, God will not be willing to take you into His arms. That, these people don't understand how much mess I've created. Or before you feel that these people don't know how much sin I have committed. Or before you say that these people don't know my weakness. I have one weakness, never dying weakness that doesn't just want to go. Lecrae in his book made a list of persons in the Bible that had this obvious, it is a not dying weakness. And God accepted them. When they went to God, God accepted them, embraced them, and used them. Okay, they ended well. Meaning you can still end well. Then God can still make something out of your life. He had a list of Abraham in the Bible. When he was old already, he needed something. He felt he has achieved purpose, but he needed a child. And then God told him, Abraham, I'm going to make you a father of nations. He laughed. He said, the Bible said he laughed at God's face. He doubted God. He even went ahead to disobey God by impregnating his wife's maid. But God still, God had a promise, had a plan for him from the beginning, and nothing was going to change that. God made something out of Abraham's life. He went on to say that Jacob was a cheat and a liar from Adam. From when he was young with his brother, I feel that from when I was young, my brother has always been the only one. He said the truth always. My brother has always been this, that. Well, Jacob, that you feel that you have always been the liar and cheat. But Jacob in the Bible was also a liar and cheat. Cheated his brother of his, of his birth and pride. So if you're a liar, you're a cheat, God is willing to accept you like that. He said Moses, a murderer. Moses killed. Have you killed someone? Not even one person, plenty persons. Moses also killed someone. And he was always giving excuse. Even when God called him, he had killed someone. God still called him and said, Moses, come, I want you to come and do something for me. For one mission impossible journey, let's go. Moses was saying, no, I'm a stammerer. And was giving excuses, just like you are giving excuses now. Come off it. God is willing to make something out of your life. David, adulterer. David, hey, that one is their father. Sent people to war. Took the person's wife. When the person knew, got rid of the person, killed the person, adulterer, murderer, David. How we dance like David? Now we are dancing like David danced. God didn't give up on David. Okay? So don't give up on yourself. You're going to come back to wrap up on this book, Unashamed by Lecrae. Is a popular gospel rap artist, and then he's just somebody you want to look up. Go and listen to his songs to begin with on your journey to recovery, to finding purpose. Go and listen to his songs. Lecrae is a gospel rap artist, and I'm very sure you're going to be blessed by it. Till I come up again for another edition. Thanks so much for watching. If you like the content of this video, give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you read the book. What are the lessons you learned from reading the book? Do you know Lecrae now? How has his songs be blessing you? Also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more amazing content we'll be bringing to you. Till I come up again for another edition of Book Review. Stay blessed and keep reading LD. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Kingdom Lifestyle Radio. For more information, log on to www.kingdomlifestyleradio.com. Join us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. For 24/7 gospel music and messages, download our app in the App Store. For prayers and counseling, call or text 347-481-6604. Remember, faith comes by hearing, and hearing the Word of God. God bless you. Amen.